It's been a while since we last visited Egypt and covered any of its mythology, so today we'll be taking a look at a goddess that I have previously mentioned in my video on Bastet, a goddess that is commonly associated with war, destruction and retribution, but on the other hand was also seen as a goddess of healing, medicine and the sun. If you haven't already guessed, I am indeed referring to Sekhmet, the lioness and warrior goddess of Egyptian myth. The very name Sekhmet was believed to have derived from the Egyptian word Sekhem, meaning power, to be strong and to be mighty, and like many of the fiercest goddesses that appear in the Egyptian pantheon, she was part of a collection known as the Eye of Ra. This included Hathor, Bastet, Wadjet, Mut, and of course Sekhmet herself. Now I have previously discussed how Sekhmet and Bastet were often considered to be the same deity, with them both having the head of a lioness, being the daughter of Ra, and marrying the god of craftsmanship and architecture Ptah. It was fairly common for the god of fragrance and beauty, Nefertum, to be attributed as either the son of Bastet or Sekhmet. Despite the numerous similarities between the two goddesses, there were still several ways that one could distinguish between them. Statues of Bastet would often be green, whereas those of Sekhmet would be red, and she would often be seen wearing a solar disc to represent her association with the sun. Now in time, Bastet's appearance would change to more of a domestic house cat, and she would be known for the protection of family and the home. Sekhmet, however, retained her fierce lioness appearance, and she was seen as far more unpredictable and destructive than Bastet. Now as time continued to pass, the connection between the two began to fade, and instead Bastet and Sekhmet were seen as examples of Egyptian duality. The region known as Upper Egypt became associated with Sekhmet. The worship of Bastet would now take place in the lower portion of the Egyptian kingdom. These two regions were separated by the river Nile, and the two goddesses were now connected by geographical location, rather than mythological stories. There are quite a few variations of how Sekhmet came to exist. Some believe that Hathor was sent to Earth by Ra. However, when she arrived, she became Sekhmet when she saw the humans had been ignoring the principles of Mahat. Sekhmet on her father's behalf would then take vengeance upon man. In her rage-filled trance, she became so violent that she slaughtered humans endlessly, drinking the blood of all of those that were slain. When Ra eventually saw what had become of Sekhmet, he became so afraid of what she could do that he filled the river Nile with beer, so it resembled blood. Mistaking the beer-filled Nile for blood, Sekhmet became so intoxicated that she could no longer continue her killing spree and fell into a deep slumber, eventually returning to her father peacefully. The ancient Egyptians then held festivals to pacify Sekhmet and to celebrate the end of the battle. These annual festivals were held at the very beginning of the year, and the ancient Egyptians would drink great deals of wine until they became extremely drunk. They would also dance and play music to soothe the wildness that Sekhmet represented. Over the years, Sekhmet became associated with several things. She was seen as a goddess of healing, but then again she was also known as Lady Pestilence, bringing disease and plague to all those who wronged her. The priests of Sekhmet were seen as extremely skilled doctors, and this somewhat resulted in varying depictions, the Lady of Life, but also the Lady of Terror. She was also mentioned in several of the spells that feature in the Book of the Dead, in terms of both creation and destruction. During the period of the New Kingdom, Sekhmet was also considered to be the mother of Mahaz, the lion-headed prince and the god of war, whose name meant he who is true beside her, but much like Nefertum, he was also sometimes seen as the son of Bastet. Sekhmet is one of the fiercest warriors that we see in Egyptian mythology, but she was also seen as a great healer, two traits that aren't often coupled together. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed some more Egyptian mythology. It's not something we've covered for a while, so feel free to share any thoughts and ideas regarding Sekhmet with me in the comments